So this woman posted in the Off My Chest subreddit, and it was cross-posted in my BurbNBougie subreddit. There is an update, but I'm going to do the post first. She says, boyfriend, 31 man, woke me, a 34-year-old woman, up at 2 a.m. to make him dinner. I made him leave instead. These dudes are really out here giving other men advice about thinking that their women are servants, and they are taking this advice and they are trying to execute and implement it, and they are finding out that they are ending up lonely instead. These podcasters, these manosphere people, these red pillars are doing a great job at keeping other men single, basically. But let's read the post. She says, I'm seriously never dating again. No advice needed. Want to vent. Throw away for the usual reasons. So I became official with this guy a couple of months ago. He was sweet, kind, funny, gorgeous, the usual stuff. Everything was fine. We stayed at each other's places, have date nights, general relationship stuff. In short, no red flags. A couple of beige ones here and there, but everyone has those. Then, then came the other night. He's currently having to pick up the slack at his job due to multiple people quitting. We decided to spend the weekend at my place as his roommates can be quite loud and he needed to concentrate on fixing a system at his job so he can remotely work. Friday is fine. We stay in, and in between working, we do the usual couple stuff. Saturday comes and something has gone wrong and the stress is doubled. So he isn't eating anything I make, which is fine. I simply remind him there are leftovers in the fridge. By 11 p.m., he's still working, so I head to bed. I am then startled awake by him at 2 a.m., shaking me, telling me he's hungry now. Confused, I remind him about the leftovers and turn over to go back to sleep. But he gets grumpy and tells me I need to make him something fresh now. I'm honestly completely confused and so sleepy while he rattles on about coconut shrimp or something. Still half asleep, I stare at him as I try to work out what the F is happening. I'm guessing my silence pissed him off as he started having a go at me for not doing my duty as his girlfriend. That woke me up fully, and I told him to get out of my house. His attitude changed then, and he was apologizing, but I just repeated myself, and eventually he left the room. I followed him, picked up his stuff, put it into a bag, and once again told him to get out. He looked like a deer in headlights. He kept trying to say sorry and hug me, and it was only when I threw his car keys into his arms that he realized I was serious and left. This was Sunday morning. It's now Monday night, and I still refuse to speak to him. He's tried calling and texting, but I'm honestly just annoyed and dumbfounded. I know I'll have to speak to him at some point, but I don't want to. He's an idiot. If and when I do speak to him, I'll update. For now, I'm going to bed. These dudes are, they're in their find out season, and I love that for them. Their delusions are being pushed up against reality. They cannot make these demands. They can type these demands out on the internet. They can type out these tests to women on the internet. They can give this advice to other men, but try to do that with the wrong person in reality, and this might happen. I love this for him. I love that he tried it. He saw what happens. He's facing those consequences. All right, so some of the comments: good for you, girl. That grown man could have definitely made himself some food if he wanted it that bad. Grimwall says he was testing her boundaries and severely overshot. Foxy Liv says, yes, definitely testing. No person in their right mind wakes someone up at 2 a.m. to demand food when they're perfectly capable of making food. There is a chance his mom has been making him food on demand and he's used to it, but I think the chance is bigger that he wanted to mess with her sleep or test her willingness to go along with his BS. Crazy Plant Lady says, yeah, that's him trying to figure out how he can bully her. I hope she leaves him. My pal says, it sounds like she already has, and it seems like she's resolute. Good for him. I do just want to jump into the update. She says, update, holy sweet Jeebus. That's a lot of notifications. Thank you for your overwhelming support. Glad to know I'm not the only one who thinks this is stupid. Also to the ones who said I should have just done it or agreed with the man child. Thank you. I needed a laugh today. On to the update. He came into my job to talk and explained that his friends saw a video of a woman being woken up to cook for her man, and they decided to test it out on their partners as a loyalty test. So my initial judgment of him being an idiot was correct. He was surprised when I broke up with him, but he was calm and accepted, albeit sad. Either way, that's over with. To answer a few concerns: nope, no drugs, just bad judgment. No mental health concerns. Yes, he's stressed, but it's surface stress. That'll be fine once his work hires some new people, I'm sure. Honestly, not my concern anymore. Someone mentioned unconditional love. The relationship was less than 3 months. Chill out. She says, seriously though, thank you for even taking the time to read my sleepy ramblings. I'm going to buy myself a nice bottle of wine once I finish work as a thank you to myself for not settling. Until next time. The fact that they saw a video and decided to execute this is so silly. And I really, really hope that more and more women know and understand that this is unacceptable and react like this lady. Teach these dudes a lesson. Find out season is here. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think of this. So this was posted in the childfree subreddit. She says, interviewer got triggered when I told him I am child-free, and she used the flair humor. She says, I was interviewing for a job that I knew I probably didn't want anyway. So I did an experiment where I was completely honest the whole interview. The interviewer was a man in his 50s or 60s. He asked me how I deal with stress. I gave him simple answers, but he kept asking me to elaborate. So I told him, I don't have kids, so I'm not nearly as stressed and overwhelmed as most other people. I can sleep in on my days off and do whatever I want. Immediately, this guy was triggered. He wouldn't make eye contact with me and went on a rant how his son is the best thing that ever happened to him, went on about how kids are the best blessing in life, etc. Started shaking his head all while looking at the floor, saying he couldn't imagine life without his kid. When I replied, I'm glad that he is a blessing to you, he cut me off and changed the subject. LOL. Later on in the interview, he tried to convince me to pick up the night shifts to get extra hours, and said by working nights, he is able to get off at 7 a.m., sleep in until 2 p.m., play with his son for a few hours, and then go to work. Sir, if all you have to do is play with your son for a few hours after getting 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep, I see why you feel the way you do. I'm a female. It's not the same. It ain't the same. It really is not the same. And sleeping up until 2 o'clock, a lot of stuff happens with children up until 2 o'clock. So he's getting to do the whole fun dad situation. It's totally not the same if you're the actual mom. She says, update, they offered me the job and I declined. All right. This is funny to me. I do believe on both sides, they really don't like child-free women because child-free women are not anchored. So that means that if the situation is untenable, if it's sucky, if it's not what they want, child-free women don't have kids to consider when they want to up and leave. So they don't really like child-free women, but there is still a motherhood issue because sometimes mothers need to take off to do things with their kids. So hiring mothers or women that are potential mothers because, pregnancy and those type of symptoms and maternity leave are also an issue. So regardless, if you're a woman, some interviewer is going to have an issue with you if they are strongly biased against women. So you might as well just be who you are and see how you can trigger them. If you really want the job, you don't do what she did. Don't try to trigger people on purpose. But let's look at some of the comments. Interviewer, I can't imagine my life without my son. I can. And this person says, I can. It's great. Lucy B says, call the ambulance, but not for me. Vibes. This person, C19 Shadow, says, that shit's always a false equivalent. For those without kids, they aren't a person, they are hypothetical. He can't imagine it because it's a living, breathing person he loves. It's hard to imagine someone who exists that if it would be like if they didn't. And it makes him feel guilty too, I'll bet. They aren't ever going to admit life might be better for them. And towards the bottom, it says, "What a twat. Good on you for turning it down. That's a hell of a toxic workplace. Professional interviews are about skill, knowledge, assets to the company." He sounds over emotional. Keep in mind, these are the most logical leaders. This is an important post to broach, and I'm glad that I was tagged in this. This is in the Advice for Teens subreddit. She asked, "Can a 37-year-old like 16-year-olds?" She says, "I'm talking to a 37-year-old and he keeps saying it's okay to like teens because they aren't kids anymore. And I said it's about the maturity level. And he said he feels like he's 20 and said he relates to teens more and said teens don't want kids and they look much better and aren't annoying. I know it's weird, but he tells me, oh, and I just saw a bunch of cute teens and it makes me uncomfortable." He said he likes up to 15-year-olds and anything younger gets creepy. He sends me like cartoon naked pics and I'm going to block him, but I feel bad because he's alone and has no one to talk to. She says, "Sorry for the grammar. I had to write this super fast." She says, "Update. I blocked him and reported him on all platforms. We talked through I read every response and I feel very stupid. I always give people the benefit of the doubt, but I shouldn't do this to adults who talk to me like that. I'm talking to my mom right now about it." If you have kids, please start prepping them right now because these folks messaging them and doing this kind of thing, we need to teach them to shut that down really quickly. Do not allow them to get to these types of conversations. This went way too far. He was able to get her to empathize with him. She's talking about he's lonely. She feels bad for him. These older people know how to manipulate kids. And so you need to start like giving them some kind of defense mechanism that they know how to push back, block, and just cut off engagement. This went too far, but she didn't know any better. We need to teach. This post was so important because it makes you understand why you need to teach kids early and not just try to shield them by protecting them too much. Protecting them too much means that they will not have any defense against this type of. Okay, so Big Bob C says, "Alone, my fat butt, he's trying to groom you. I hope you didn't give him any nudes, and I really hope he doesn't have your address." And to answer your question, yes, a 37-year-old can like 16-year-olds, much like a shark likes tuna, a lion likes antelopes, or a fox likes chicken coops. And this person says, "Ha, great description." Island Landover says, "Address, that's how you hunt someone down. You ask questions that no one would think are anything other than innocent. Example, I was a fox in high school as my mascot. What's yours? Are you involved in any sports or clubs? If you know the state, you can easily zero in on a certain subset of people. I bet PTO or club just loves posting photos on Instagram or their Tiger band members." That was a good comment. Please teach your children about that. Pickle Picker says, "This is a kid though. You can't expect them to know what to watch for. That's the reason why these posts are so important and why you are, as the parent, supposed to teach them some of these things to look for." That's a face down in the cake says, "Please use your powers for good." Pete says, "This guy grooms." Snap says, "This guy is either a dumb Frito or a very thoughtful person." That is absolutely amazing. I would have never thought about that, honestly. Detective in making. So I need to throw in a green flag story after that. This is in the Black Lady subreddit. She says, "My fiance made me cry today." This is a positive story. She says, "I want to preface this by saying my husband," so he's a husband here and a fiance up there. "My husband is Mexican and grew up strictly with Mexican music. He has a beautiful singing voice and loves to sing. Well, today he picked me up from work with the roses and a teddy bear and literally serenaded me with Never Too Much by Luther Vandross with the instrumentals playing. I love old school R&B, even though I was born and raised in Mexico myself, and Never Too Much is like my favorite love song, and I never told him that. I cried like a big baby." His reasoning was that he heard it earlier and it instantly reminded him of me, and he was singing it to himself then wanted to sing it to me. That is a person that has paid attention to what his significant other likes and enjoys and executed a plan to make them feel special and loved. And we needed to see this story. We needed to see a person that has checked in, is all in with paying attention to their significant other. And we needed a palate cleanser after that previous post. Minimum Idea says, this is so cute and endearing. Thank you for sharing. The OP says, thank you. We get married in October this year, and moments like this make me just want to marry him now. Mollyana says, wow, they make them like that, ladies. Never settle. They do exist. She says, OP, looks like you found a gem. Very happy for you. Is he always so thoughtful? Could you share some of your journey if you don't mind? Did you find him on Amazon? Does he have brothers? I'm married, but I have 2 younger sisters, and they'll learn Spanish in a jiffy. So the OP says, true love does exist. I see every day in him. He is very thoughtful, and he's calm to my crazy. He gets me and our son just because gifts every paycheck, and he's super affectionate and sweet. He's always complimenting me, and he's very protective. He only has a brother who is already married, and he's a great man too. It was very crazy, but I actually met him on Tinder, and it was originally supposed to be a one-night thing because we both had just gotten out of horrible long-term relationships. But when we met up, it was like love at first sight. It still took a long time before we admitted our feelings to each other, but when we did, it was great. But then the trauma of our last relationship caught up, and we broke up, and we found we were so miserable without each other that it only lasted a week. Okay, so that is her story and where she is now. I'm not saying jump on Tinder. I am not saying that, but that is her journey. Anyways, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This morning, as I was scrolling Reddit, there were just way too many good ones to choose from. So that's the reason why I had made so many posts today. But this one in the 2X chromosome subreddit says, called BS on Friendzone. She says, I belong to a club, and one of the guys complained on and on about being friend-zoned. I just couldn't sit for his BS a second longer. I asked, she was a friend of yours, right? He said, yes. So I said, you're complaining about being friend-zoned by a friend. She didn't friend-zone you. You tried to F-zone her, and she wasn't having it. You tried to change the relationship. She didn't. Stop, she says, so stop F-zoning your female friends. So stop F-zoning your female friends. That right there is perfect. So stop F-zoning your female friends. We have got to call these people out because they simply do not know and understand how friendship works. You know, we as women, we can have normal friendships, and effing them does not come into play. But these people do not seem capable of having normal friendships without thinking with their peen. It just, something in their brain just doesn't connect about us as humans, and that we are not there for their pleasure. Like some of the comments, I think it was on a recent F the Nice Guy podcast episode where they discussed how the man is seeing it as too bad I took a shot and got rejected, whereas the woman is mourning the loss of what they thought was an actual friendship. They go on to say how the grieving process can involve reevaluating years of interaction to rethink if anything was genuine. It is heartbreaking. Snoo Strawberry says, I have mourned the loss of several male friends, and as someone who hung out primarily with males growing up, this means I didn't take many into adulthood. I miss them, but like you said, were they ever really my friends? It is heartbreaking. Roses Fernando says, same. I was a tomboy and had many male friends growing up. I am friends with none of them now because they all wanted to date me, and I thought they were my best friends. Funny Breadfruit says, this is my exact point. I was always a tomboy, and every single male friend turned out to want more. Every single one. Rydisk says, I think most guys always will. It baffles me, though. It breaks up a friendship. Hey, I want to try more. I don't. Okay, then, friends it is. And then Unknown Redditor says, I'm a dude, but I think it really boils down to the idea that the entire friendship at that point then feels disingenuous. Was he being friendly because he wants to be my friend, or was it because he just wanted in my pants the whole time? Would always linger in the back of her mind regarding any interaction they had. Not to mention the safety factor that's been highlighted by the recent man versus bear debate happening in online circles. Am I safe alone with a man who's made it clear their intentions of wanting more from me? Or is he going to try something violent, being the lingering question there? And with that, I end this conversation. I know that this has been several different posts in one, but the question of the day to see if you made it this far. What's a bit of advice that you still remember to this day that your mom gave you? Mine is always make sure that my legs are properly lotioned, even when I'm wearing pants. I want to know what your mom has told you that has stuck with you throughout the decades. Jump in the comments. Let me know if you made it this far and you haven't yet subscribed. Go ahead and hit the follow button. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.